Medianoche.
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 Podcast.
Medianoche. Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Medianoche.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? We're back at the Medianoche podcast. This is episode 46, and I am posted up with a longtime homie of mine that I've known for, I can't even remember when I met you, honestly, man, but I got Mike Banger here. What's up, y'all?
Chilling, bro. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, man. Here at your spot, bro. I remember when you built the studio here.
Yeah,
you know?
man. It probably was less than what it is right now when the first time you came, but you probably don't notice like the small additions. I don't really remember though. I
don't notice anything else, man. I know that I would come over here to kick it with you when you was putting up the panels on the ceiling, and you know, but that's dope, man. Like, so you've been here almost like 10 years now.
In this spot, about 5 years.
Has it only been 5 years for real?
Yeah.
Damn, it feels so much longer than that.
Yeah, it feels less than that to me. It feels like I just moved in still, because it's so big and I keep like working on shit, so I haven't really like settled in yet. But
this is like the home studio's dream, bro. Like, to have a home studio as decked out as you have it here. I remember, for those that know who Mike Banger is, well, I should probably start off with a little backstory, because those that were involved in the Miami hip hop scene and know who Mike Banger is, then y'all know that you've kind of first started off with your home studio out in Kendall, right? Mm-hmm. And then in that home studio, I remember recording a couple little tracks out there, and you had like a shower curtain style booth, you know?
Yep.
It was like a circular, like a cylinder with the mic inside there.
Yeah. Shit looked like a portable fucking shower curtain. And I would put it up and down like when people would come, and I just stuffed it with mad shit. So like you could still hear shit. It wasn't perfect, but I put like 3 bed sheets, a bunch of studio foam, and then like some fabric on the outside of it so that it don't look so crazy. But once you step inside of it, you can see like a Batman fucking comforter and shit. That shit was funny as fuck. That was my mom's house, man. That was my bedroom in my mom's house. That
was definitely way more than 10 years ago. That was like, whew, I've known you for a long time, bro, now that I think about it.
Man, yeah, since like probably like freshman high school year. For me, I think at least that's like when I really, well, no, now that I think about it, yeah, about that year, about like my freshman year in high school, I was like, I don't know.
You know, now that I think back to those times, bro, like, you were really ahead, man. Like, allow me to kind of go down memory lane real quick, because aside from everything else, I want to chop it up with you. I might as well start in the beginning. One of the ways that I remember you being really ahead, Mike, was like, you used your Mac to watch movies before everyone else did, because everyone was still using DVD players and VCRs. And I remember going to your crib one time, and I was like, oh, what are you up to? Oh, nothing, just watching a movie. And you pressed the space bar, and the movie kept playing on your screen.
Damn, that's ghetto. Yeah, I did used to do that, because I didn't really have a TV, and I didn't really care for one, because I really just wanted like software for music. So, but when I popped open the OS X, it has like DVD players. So I was like, oh, all right, I got a DVD player. I'm going to pop in DVDs on the computer.
And it makes sense, because you have a much better sound system with your KRKs rigged up to your Mac than the speakers of a TV.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know? So it
sounded better than it looked in my room.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, because now that I do video, it's true. People that do video, they know that audio quality is way more important than video quality in making videos. Like, you could have a shitty camera, but if the audio is like pristine, you'll sit through it and enjoy it. Whereas if you have an HD camera that films 8K and the audio sucks, no one's gonna tolerate it. They'll just turn that shit off.
I never thought about that, but that's fucking. It seems true because if it looks cool enough and it's audible, I will sit through some weird ass shit that But if it sounds bad, it just shit does make you like want to turn away.
Yeah, man. And I remember also, back in those days, bro. You had made one beat for me that I told you about it. I told you about it like some months ago when I went through all my CDs. Like you made one beat. It was just a piano loop, and then I watched you as you laid the drums, and you just kind of like finger drummed it in like 10 seconds. You had the whole drums down. Like even to this day, I'm not a finger drummer. Like I'll lay down one drum at a time.
Yeah.
But you were like kick, snare, hi hat, open hi hat, in like one take Jake.
Yeah, I try to get them like that because it comes out more natural, and like I get the feeling of a groove that kind of just comes to me, but it's definitely not for everyone. And I would say that came from being a drummer before anything. So I didn't go out to be like a finger drummer, but it comes natural. You know what I mean? If I could actually put like one note on my foot, they should probably make that like a pedal. That's just like one note on the foot. Like that'll make finger drumming way easier because I don't have to add the kick with my pinky or whatever. That's
true, man. Like the kick drum on a pad for your foot. That'll be hard.
Hey, man, I should develop that. Make some bread off that shit.
Yeah, there you go. And if you do end up developing that, don't worry about the royalties. Just shout me out, bro.
The Medianoche royalties.
That's funny, man. Yeah, you used to be a drummer. I remember, bro. You used to drum for Soul What?
Oh yeah, man.
And they didn't always have a drummer because even before I knew you, they would have like house parties. Soul What? We're talking about Soul What, which is a group back in the early 2000s, which consisted of Parable, Afterlogic, Potential, and then Nuisance.
Yeah,
right. So shout out to those guys. But before I met you, I would attend house parties that they were throwing, where they were performing, and it was just press play on the CD, and then they would rock. And then they stepped it up and got like a mini live band going, and that's when I met you, and you was the drummer.
Yeah, definitely. That was I mean, I would say that group. What's the word for it? They became what today is. I don't know what they're doing, but artificial. You know what I mean? That was like the preliminary group to that, and it started with man. I don't even know how. Nuisance was like my best friend in high school, and I had this guy down the block that played guitar, Mark. And he called me one day. He's like, "Yo, let's go to the studio, play drums for a track with me." And he had a class in Miami-Dade, so they let him use the studio for like projects or whatever. So I get there and Logic is there, so I'm playing drums on one of Logic's songs, and he's rapping, and I don't know how else it came together, but like little by little we all just started networking more, and I ended up playing drums with them, and they got the bassist Ralph while I was playing drums with them, and then I got busy with some other stuff. Parable left. They switched the name to Artificial. They got another drummer, a bunch of other instruments. Nuisance stayed. It's really just Nuisance and Logic now. But that's what was So What. So this keeps like transforming. Yeah, I had mentioned in a song of mine, I had shouted out Potential based off of this one time I heard him spit a verse when him and I was kicking it on some track. I don't even know if they ever put it out, but that one line always stuck with me. And it's funny because I can't find that dude anywhere. Yeah, me neither.
I don't know where Potential is, bro.
Shout out to Potential, wherever you at.
My man
Come
Tristan.
through, yeah.
Yeah, bro. That's crazy. I remember this one time I went to a show where y'all was performing and you got a fucking a ticket from a police because you had to unload all your drums, so you like pulled up on the street backwards of the flow of traffic. Do you remember that? And then like you had unloaded all your drums, and this police like pulls over and goes, "Whose car is this?" And you had just put down like the kick drum or something, and you're like, oh, that was mine, and he's like, oh, you're not supposed to be parked, and he gave you a ticket, and you was like really bummed out for like an hour before you guys had to go on stage and shit,
Man, I don't remember exactly where that was. Was that up here? Was that up north in like
yeah, that was
Hollywood
like a
or
Broward
something?
show. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I remember now which one it was. I remember exactly where that was. I forgot the club's name, but yeah, it was like train tracks or something. So you're either going one way or the other on either side of the train track, and I pulled up backwards on that bitch. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
like the things that we do, bro, just to like people that consume music, they don't really take into account how like the workload behind actually just setting up and breaking down the stage set. Like you press play on a song and you hear the song and that's it, you go about your day, but what it took to make that song or what it took to set up that live show is like you'll be sweaty from head to toe by the time you're done setting up and breaking down
Yeah. You're doing
the
more
stage.
setup than actually playing.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's wild, bro. Like, people aren't aware of that because they just consume music, but they're not in the world of like of production and shit. And you've been in that. Now you're you have your studio now, but when you used to play live music, I remember that, bro. I remember seeing you like fucking mad sweaty, just like loading and unloading and breaking up and setting down and this and that. It's just crazy, bro.
That's kind of doing all that stuff is kind of what made it easy to transition into being a recording engineer, because as a drummer I had to load my drums one by one, set up the whole kit, like put it perfectly in place, and then mic the kit. And even if it's not my mics and I'm not the house engineer, I'm still there with him seeing what he does, and little by little like I figure it out too. So when I go to a studio, it's like, oh man, this guy knows how to mic a drum set and make it sound decent. Like that's kind of like the hardest thing to do in the studio is mic a drum set. I mean, besides like an orchestra, 100-piece orchestra, but like vocals is cool, like a guitar is cool, bass is cool, all of them together is cool, but a drum set is a fucking mission.
It's true, man. You had I believe, which mic is it? The SM57s a lot. Is considered an instrument microphone, but knowing you, I would imagine that you probably don't give a fuck what mics are available, just as long as you have mics and you'll work with whatever's available. But like, am I incorrect by saying that the SM57s, you know which mics I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's the instrument mic that you guys would put on the drums, correct?
Yeah, very popular mic. It works for a lot of different things, and it's a workhorse too. You could drop that thing from a building and it'll still work. So that's why it's great, like for touring and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It ain't like a fragile mic. It can handle a beating and it sounds decent. So
Word, man. I would say that you after I had met you, I didn't know what was to come of it, but to fast forward a little bit, when I decided to start recording myself, after I realized how pricey it can get to rent studio time for as much music as I wanted to create, I just straight up couldn't afford studio time. So I wanted to get my own setup, and it just so happened that I bought my first Mac from you. Like I was living in Hollandale, and I don't know I can't remember how the conversation came up, but I was like, oh, I need a Mac because I want to start my own studio. And I guess I don't know if maybe you were already trying to sell it, but you decided to just sell me your super old school Mac,
Yeah.
like an old Mac tower. And I bought it off of you, man,
I think did me a lot of good work. That was my first work computer too for music. It cost me a lot. I remember saving for it. That was my baby. Actually, it felt good to give it to someone that I know rather than just to send it out there into the wild of eBay or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad actually that I gave it to somebody who was using it for the same thing,
The exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, I remember it because you just dropped it off. You didn't like wipe it clean. When I turned on the Mac, it still had some Jackie O sessions. Some obviously it had Pro Tools, and it had some of your data, And I remember telling you about that, and you was like, "Nah, don't sweat it. You must have backed it up or something." But yeah, I know what you mean. Like when I decide to sell some of my old gear, I'm hoping that it goes into someone that's gonna use it for a similar use. Instead of that would have sucked if you if you sell that Mac with all that hip hop history created in it to someone that just like smuggles drugs inside of it or some shit, you know?
Or just someone who just wanted a random computer, you know, even like or a stranger that you don't even know what they're gonna use it for, you know. I'm not gonna lie, like I sold it to you. I must have needed money at the time, but like if I could do what I want, I would keep it as like a trophy, you know, even though it's obsolete by now and you can't update it or nothing. But like that's my first Mac. That's the first computer that got me into recording, and I didn't know anything about computers when I bought that computer. I was like, just like you, I was like, studio time is expensive. Like, damn, I can't afford hundreds of dollars a day. Like, but I could save a few thousand and maybe turn that $100 a day into something in my bedroom, and then be able to just do it always. And like, but I didn't know anything about computers when I got that one. And
I remember when I set it up, I had a walk-in closet in the apartment that I was living at when I bought it off you.
Those are the best booths.
They really are. Like people, bro, a walk-in closet, the structure of your house is already like insulated. So you walk into this closet and it's like a completely dead room. It gets a little hot in there if you don't have an AC vent, which is what mine was like. But I remember, man, I went to Guitar Center. I bought a bunch of wall paddings, and I completely oh, and also I bought like a, what do you call that? It's like it's not a rug, but it's kind of like a rollout carpet that's like gray, and like it's like the same fabric that crates for music crates are made out of. And I stapled the wall, and then I put on top of that layer of fabric, I put the sound padding, and then I put the mic and shit. And I remember
that was the walk-in closet.
Yeah, that was my first little booth. And I remember calling you, like, you were nice about it. You answered the first time. Like, I was like, yo, okay, so Pro Tools is open. Now what? And you was like, look, man, you know, go to file, go to new session. All right, so yo, my bad. I gotta go. I'm doing something. I'll call you back. And then I'm just waiting. And then I got antsy, and you would have called me back too. But I got so antsy that I called you like prematurely before you obviously called me. And I was like, how do you press play? What's a button on the keyboard? And you was like, it's a space bar, bro. Yo, look, my bad, bro. You must have been really busy, because I know that you make time whenever I would hit you up. And I was like, oh, you know, all right, so I pressed the space bar. And how do you arm the track? And I remember like the tone shifted, and you was like, whew. Yo, look, man, you arm the track by clicking the little red circle. See how I was blinking? Then you got to arm the... All right, so look, figure it out, because my bad, bro, I'm busy. And I'll hit you up later. And from then on, I was like thrown to the Pro Tools wolves, you know? And I really had to figure it out on my own. But, bro, I really got to thank you, bro, because had I not bought that Mac from you, I wouldn't have had my first studio, my first home setup, and who knows what would have happened there in some alternate universe. But thank you, man, for
You're
real,
welcome, bro.
I appreciate that, man. You know,
well, thanks for getting it from me. So
yeah.
I didn't throw it to the damn Pro Tools wolves.
Yeah, man, that's wild, bro. I encourage people like to this day, bro, to just like educate themselves in the programs that they use, even if they outsource, if they send their sessions out to an engineer, just so that they could know how to talk to them and tell them, yo, I don't like the ratio of the compressor, whatever. That way that they could communicate with the people that they outsource if they're not doing it themselves. But since then, you obviously went full-fledged as an audio engineer and producer as well. And I remember when you got set up with being Lil Wayne's engineer, like that was obviously a huge game changer for you.
Yep.
But you know how like Royce the 5'9" interviews, they only ask him about Eminem, and you can tell that he can low key be like, like, ask me about me, you know.
I mean, it's all good though. I mean, it is what it is, you know.
But I always wanted to pick your brain on that more out of just being like a hip hop head. I was just geeked out that you was one of my favorite MCs, engineer, but also for yourself, bro. You invited me over to the Hit Factory a few times.
Yep.
You know,
I spent a lot of nights over there, twiddling my thumbs, waiting for him.
yeah. Tell me about it, bro. Like now that time has passed, like what was that like, bro? Rocking with those guys.
It was an experience, a learning experience, really. You know, at times it was enjoyable. At times it was really stressful. It's a high pressure environment because we need to perform and produce and output a certain amount of material by a certain time. It has to be up to a certain standard, and he's signed to a label, so they could say yes or no and approve or disapprove of what we're doing. But either way, it has to get done by a certain time. And at the time, he was known as the best rapper alive, so that's a lot of pressure. To keep that ball rolling is a lot of pressure. And I started really as an intern around him, and little by little, I had the chance to sit on the chair. And luckily, I already had a crazy work ethic myself, so it wasn't like dealing with him every night wasn't nothing new for me because I had already been like working all the time. But I mean, it's a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure, and you learn to be really competitive with your mixes, with how you push the artist to perform better every time, like. Because we were expected to be like the best in the game, you know what I mean? That's a lot of pressure. That's one thing I could say, man. A lot of pressure.
But when you say a lot of pressure and it was a very competitive environment, I mean, I'm like really asking you. I'm not just rhetorically asking you for the listeners. Like, what were there like other engineers there like waiting for you to fuck up, for you to like for you to get kicked off the chair, and then it's their turn to go at it, or?
Well, there's always that. I was one of them, but
So you were one of them. Like you were. I'm just saying. I want to set this up for myself, but also like there was a point in time where you were waiting for the guy that was engineering to fuck up so that you get called up.
Basically. Wow. Basically, and I've known all of the other engineers in that circle, so a lot of them are my friends, and I never expected it to happen. You know what I mean? Because I worked under a lot of them as an assistant. I was cleaning the studio, doing runs for them. I used to buy fucking Popeye's chicken for Wayne, you know what I'm saying, in the middle of the night while my boy was doing the engineering work. I never thought that I'd be sitting in the chair, and this was when I was doing that, the runs and stuff. He wasn't like Carter 3 Wayne yet. He was still just mixtaping it, hustling hard, like Carter 1, Carter 2 era. And when Carter 3 happened, everyone in that chair fell out, and it was my turn. So it's like at the height of everything, it was like, all right, boom, now you got the ball. And I was like, fuck, all right, let's rock. So and the pressure isn't so much with other engineers wanting the chair, stuff like that. It's more about the other artists out there and other labels and other people putting out music at the time that you're expected to exceed, like, in terms of quality or whatever. So I'm listening to literally like the top 3 mixes in the whole country, and I'm like, damn, like our mix has to be better than that. I got to be louder than that. I got to make it boom harder. I got to be crispier. His vocals got to like shine harder than everyone's, like, and then at the same time he's hearing their their rhyming performance, and he's telling himself, I got to rhyme better than everyone. My punchlines got to be harder. And so it's like a combination of production and artist, and we're just trying to be the best in the fucking country.
I think that audio engineers don't get the props that they really deserve, bro. Like right now we live in a time where producers are really more just as much the stars as the rappers are, but low key the audio engineers are the glue that you don't see that really puts it all together, that doesn't really get its props, you know? And I foresee audio engineers being the next forefront that the attention is on, you know? Like, especially now there's videos on YouTube about when they break down the beat, and then you'll see the screen of the computer screen with their DAW open, and they'll kind of throw in a little mixing know-how in there on how they achieve that sound. And I foresee things going there, bro, you know, where audio engineers are going to kind of be the part of music creation that's going to start to get a lot of attention and praise for its how important it is, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think what's happening in hip hop mainly is that the producer hat is being just tossed around and misplaced, and a lot of times the person who really is the general producer of a record in hip hop is actually the engineer, like the recording engineer, not even the mixing engineer, the recording engineer, because when you say producer in hip hop, you think the guy who made the beat, which is fine to think that. But if the guy who made the beat just emailed it, wasn't there for any of the vocals, didn't have a hand in the writing of the song or anything, like, he's kind of just a beat maker, which is fine. And if they're crediting beat makers nowadays as producers, that's cool. But the producers from, like, traditional producers, a Rick Rubin type or whatever, like, he's gonna sit there, like, watch you pick the beat, watch you start writing on the beat, tell you, like, no, don't write like that, write like this. Like, they do all that stuff, and that person is lost right now in terms of crediting. And I think the people who are doing that the most are actually recording engineers, not even mix engineers. The recording engineers, when I was in that chair, I was getting beats from everyone in the game. I had to sort through them to find the dopest ones, and those are the ones that I end up pushing at the artist. And then when he starts writing on it, he might look at me and say, like, you know, what do you think about that? And I'll be like, nah, you know, maybe you should just do this or do that, or this part's dope, or like, don't. I was an advocate of fuck a hook at the time. So anytime I'd hear a dope ass beat and Wayne would start going off, he'll stop at like 16, you know what I mean, and like try to write a hook. And more often than not, I'd be like, man, fuck that, just go off. So a lot of times, like, I was a real advocate for that, because that's what, as a listener, I want to hear. You know what I mean? I'm like, man, you're going so ham right now that you're gonna fuck it up with the hook, like trying to be catchy. Just keep going ham, like, just go ham. Like, you don't need a hook. So I don't know, I guess that's my style, like, just one take vocal and just rip through it, and no hook.
You're also on the one take vocal as well, huh?
Yeah, I don't really care for ad libs or backups or stuff like that.
You know, it's funny because I go through my phases. I'll go through my phases where I'll do like the whole song, 2.5, 3 minutes will go by, and there's no real hook. There'll probably be like a 2 or 4 bar, less condensed rhymes, but then it picks back up again, and that little breather acts as like the lull between the first chunk and the second chunk, you know? But I'll go through my periods, bro, where I'll write a hook, and that'll be that song has a hook. Other times it'll be a little 4 bar break in between, but sometimes it's just non-stop the entire way through. And I'm an MC first before a songwriter, you know? So to hear you tell me that you're an advocate for fuck a hook is like refreshing. Especially since that's you as a recording engineer acting as a producer with one of my favorite MCs. So it's like, for cats like us, like me, you actually are like the unsung hero of like what we loved so much about Wayne rap, you know?
Yeah.
Back in those days. It's because of Mike Banger, bro. Fucking right. I used to record at his crib, y'all.
And it's also dope to make well, not make, but to influence or whatever, to put a word in the creative process to make one of the like most popular dudes kind of like come down to the underground level with a catchy beat, and it ends up like an underground style ends up taking over the mainstream. I mean, maybe we don't really realize it at the time, and you know, you're still looking at, you know, Hot Boy, Cash Money, Wayne or whatever, but a lot of the tracks that I was involved with that I take pride in, I'm just taking stuff from the underground, and I want it to take over the chart. Like, yeah, look, we did that. No hook, no ad libs. He just murdered front to back, and the beat is just straight slaughter. Like, it's not nothing catchy or poppy about it, you know. But there's poppy stuff too, though. But I like just breaking all the rules and going underground and still topping the charts, you know.
You know, as you're telling me this, bro, I'm like hearing what you're saying, and I'm reflecting, bro, on just my life, dog, as like you're saying this, because now that I think about it, you know, I bought my first Mac from you for my first home studio. Prior to that, I was in a group that we would go to the studio with the engineer there, and it was his studio, and we would like we would lock in how much time we were there, and eventually that time had to be accountable, blah blah blah. But now you telling me this, and I remember back then you would tell me also what you're saying now, but I guess because I would ask you, yo, how'd it go, and you tell me, bro, this is kind of like this and that. And I remember being like, damn, that's the way that he writes, huh? And I kind of applied that to myself, and till this day, that's how I write, you know? To this day, like, I don't write lyrics down, and the beat is looping, and I'm just adding bars, and then I would record it into Pro Tools and then punch in from there and keep writing. Like, the actual session is my notebook.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
And I remember I saw there's this one video on YouTube of Wayne and you in the studio where he's writing to an instrumental, and then he had asked you, like, yo, how many bars is that? And you counted the bars, and he's like, damn, that's like 3 verses. You know? And it's like young you with like your long ass dreads and shit. Well, obviously you still have long ass dreads now. And man, it's crazy, bro. Like, you might actually have more of an influence on me than I may have been aware of till right now. That's crazy, bro.
That's
Fuck,
dope,
man.
though.
That is dope, man.
I mean, a big reason why I do what I do, first of all, because I love doing it, and I want to influence others to do what they love doing. I like seeing other people, you know what I mean? Like, so even seeing you doing this right now, like, I could tell that you're like really passionate about it and trying to get something accomplished that ain't like, you know, answering to someone else or like putting any limits or barriers on yourself. So, and definitely with the writing style thing that you were talking about, my whole take on it goes back to like when we first met. Like, we're cipher heads, you know what I mean? We like ciphering, and when we're in the cipher, you might think of 4 dope ass bars while it's going around waiting for it to get to your turn, and then you're like, all right, I could it's my turn, I'm just gonna start freestyling, somehow segue into those 4 dope ass bars that I just thought of. So I apply that to like songwriting and Pro Tools and how you record, and that's the same way I treat it. I treat the mic like if we're ciphering. You know what I mean? And I guess it's your turn when you go in the booth, and hopefully you thought about something dope while you were in here listening to the loop.
And did anybody give you a hard time when you first pitched that idea?
I never really pitched the idea. I just happened to naturally gravitate towards guys who have a similar way of writing. I never really like just, you know what I mean? Because Wayne ain't really a cipher head. Like, he don't like, he's a fan of dope hip hop, but he ain't really a cipher head. I think he picked that up from Jay-Z writes like that. He'll just come up with like his verse like in the room, just and keep it in his head. And after so many years of doing it, if you really think about it, you kind of learn to memorize your verses. Like, it ain't that hard. You know what I mean? Come up with the punchlines, whatever's in between, 16 bars. Like, you know, every 4 bar, you probably got a nice punch. So you really got to remember, like, 4 punchlines and everything, all the fillers in between. And there's your 16.
It sounds so simple. You know, it's funny. Like, I've actually distanced myself a little bit from what people consider a punchline, because as an MC, especially in the old cypher days and the old MC battle days with the instrumental playing, to me, a punchline was like a dope simile or metaphor or a dope figurative language kind of play on words. But what's funny is that there's so much of that now, especially with like battle rap, like the URL or with King of the Dot.
Yeah.
There's so much of it that it's like oversaturated punchlines. Whereas now I'll hear somebody that says some regular life shit, and to me that hits me more.
Definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know, like just regular journal entry style raps where it's like storytelling. That's one of the reasons why I feel like Eminem will always be like my top 2 favorite MCs, because he somehow was able to tell you a very intricate story, a very vivid, intricate story with wordplay littered all throughout of it. Like three syllable, 4 syllable rhyme patterns all throughout. But you don't really notice the rhymes because you're so submerged into the story that he's telling you. And to me, that's like, wow, that's crazy, you know?
Yeah, he's fire. He's like the best of both worlds, really. And his writing style is not easy. It's not like just come up with it on the spot. Like he's I've never worked with him like directly, but he seems like a rhyme scientist. Like he's gonna get the paper, come up with what rhymes, see what kind of wordplay he can come up with on those words, and like he really does write it out, which is dope because he ends up being the best, like hands down, you know what I mean? But a lot of times it doesn't necessarily come out naturally if you're just trying to have fun that way. So, but I don't, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, I like making music that's fun and natural, and if you can have dope wordplay in it, dope. But he's a fucking scientist. Like he's untouchable.
Yeah, it's like him being considered the hands down greatest, and the way that he approaches writing rhymes, it almost seems like it's not fun.
That's exactly my point.
Whereas you have other studio sessions where everyone is kind of like all smiles and like background little murmuring while the beat's looping, and then, you know, like let's say Corey Guns or some shit will kind of like laugh and lean over to you and show you what he wrote, and it seems much more like a friendly environment. But Eminem is the best, so shouldn't everyone try to emulate that if they want to compete with that? But it goes to show that you don't have to have the same process to still arrive at like amazing results.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. Everyone should be their own individual, you know? That's him. That's what comes natural to him. So I don't think anyone should try to be like that, you know? But just do whatever is natural, whatever you feel, you know? And some guys just are fucking amazing with the way they write, with the way that they don't write. Like you mentioned Guns writes, and he's fucking amazing too. He's a little scientist himself. He could dumb it down and do some like simple shit, or he could just go crazy with like the rhyme schemes, and like he writes his shit though. But just be yourself. I don't know. That's all I could say. As long as you're having fun and doing what you love, someone's gonna enjoy it, because your energy, you know what I mean? Like someone's gonna be like, that's fun, I like that. You know, it's better than trying to do something that's not you and then coming off as fake. So M probably can't make a, you know, wing one off the top and just make that's just the way he goes. He goes fucking crazy writing like a scientist.
I watched this video on the internet of who was it? It was recent. Oh, okay, it was recent. Akon, right, was on Hot 97, and they asked him about working with Eminem, and
I saw that.
You saw that, right?
Yeah.
He talks about his workflow. It's from 9 to 5, bro, with a lunch in between.
I went to sleep early that day. I was like, oh man, all right, we gotta sleep more.
Yeah, so talk about that, man. Like, I would imagine that you're here in this is your crib, but you have a full-fledged studio here, but it's your crib though. Like, how many hours are you here working?
It depends. It's been in the past a lot. It's been like all the time until I fucking burn out and pass out, all-nighters. But lately, I saw that and it made me think about like my workflow. It made me think like, damn, maybe I do this too much. Maybe I could like have breaks, you know, take days off and like go to sleep, go to dinner, you know, go to lunch. He goes to fucking lunch. So definitely too much of anything isn't good. And I'll tell you from experience that I've burnt out overworking myself. So nowadays, I try to catch myself before I get to that point and give myself, you know, a day off, or I'll just get up and go to the park. There's like a park down the street. If I feel like I'm getting to that point, I'll just be like, you know what, you're about to go crazy. Go to the park, go walk your dog or something, go have lunch but
Yeah, because when we spend countless hours in the studio trying to get it, little by little, we're causing like wear and tear on our ears, on our like mental stability. Just hearing the same track over and over and over again, it starts to kind of, we don't notice it, but like it starts to like warp out in our heads. And when you walk away, or when you close the session down and you turn it on the next day and you're refreshed, you realize that it's like it's a completely distorted version of what you thought it was yesterday.
Yeah.
You know? And yes, it's crazy seeing, you know, the thing is, bro, is that I feel like we do that, we overwork ourselves because we're trying to catch up, you know, or we're trying to keep up. We're trying to keep up with amazing classic hip hop that gets released, and we don't want to fall behind, so we end up overexerting ourselves to make us feel like we're keeping up with the Joneses, you know?
Yeah. It's definitely when you're young, it's cool, but it wears on your body. You can't be 40 years old in the studio every night. You know what I mean? Like when you're 19, fucking do it. You'll feel it by the time you're 30, like, oh shit, like I'm fucking burnt. But then, you know, just evolve with your aging, man. It's fine. It's just a natural part of life, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I would, if you're young, do it. If you're getting old, don't try to keep up. And with me, I don't do it. It might sound, I don't know, horrible to say this, but I don't do it because I'm trying to keep up or that I have like FOMO, fear of missing out. Like in the past, I've done it to try to keep the lead, and that's kind of like the competitive edge that I have. I'm just like, I know sometimes I'm in the studio and I'm the only one there, and like that lets me know I'm kind of working harder than everyone, and I don't necessarily like, it's just my competitive nature, you know what I mean? Like I'll know Christmas Eve, like I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to the studio. Why? Because I know no one's in the studio right now, like, and that'll give me a lead over whoever comes in tomorrow. New Year's Eve, I'm going to the studio. Like my birthday, I'm in the studio. Like, and it's a weird thing with me, man. Like it really is, because I'll just be in there sometimes alone, and I just know I'm the only guy in the studio right now. It might be in the entire world, you know what I mean? Because everyone's like partying or enjoying some kind of family whatever holiday or something, and I don't, it's not healthy though, you know. It catches up to you when you get older, but when you're young, it's cool.
It almost comes off like, it depends on how you look at it, because all right, let me figure out how I want to set this up. Because initially, it's like, oh, I want this music to help people, and I want, mind you, I'm not saying this is the way I feel. Like, this is just a common thing that lots of people in music that want to reach legendary status feel like. They're like, oh, I want my music to change the world, or I want my music to help people. If my music can talk one person off the ledge, then, you know, I did my job. And it comes off like it's like selfless in their minds because they want to improve the world. But at the end of their lives, ain't no family photos with them in it. You know, their family has distanced themselves from them. It's hard to maintain relationships. You know how hard it is to have a girlfriend and pursue being somebody in the music industry?
Oh, man.
It's like impossible. They want you to binge watch Friends with them, and you just, while the episode's on the TV, all you think about is if that snare's right, you know?
For real.
And then you're not even in the moment with someone that cares enough to spend their life with you, but you almost like, yeah, okay, I'm happy that we're together, but I really want to fulfill my objective, which is this music. And the music is like a never-ending revolving door, you know? Like, once you finish one song, you want to do another song. And who knows when that one's going to end, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely, it takes a lot of sacrifice, you know? It's not, it's some of the, like you said, sometimes the sacrifice is your significant other. Sometimes it's a family event, and it sucks sometimes. But it's not an easy job. It's a fun job once you get the ball rolling, you know what I mean? But before you get the ball rolling, you got to pay so many fucking dues, like, out here that you got to, like, lose yourself in the shit, you know what I mean? Like, before you can actually work with someone and them pay you, how do they know that they want to pay you if they've never worked with you? So, like, you almost got to do things, sacrificing even your own value just to prove a point. And then, like, when you finally establish yourself, then you could be a little bit flexible with your choices. But getting in this game is hard as fuck, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I had to work at studios for free, you know, just cleaning windows, like watching someone who I know is not as good as me, like, do the job and just clean the window until I get called up on it, and clean the window for free on a holiday, you know? So when I finally do get the chair and I am the one working on the music, and I am I can be flexible with my time and my schedule. I mean, are you really going to be that flexible with your time and your schedule if you've sacrificed so much just to get to that point, fucking vacuuming and cleaning windows? So when I finally, you know, started getting work and jobs, I was going like times 10 hard on it. And it sucks. I've missed events and I've fucked up a lot of relationships, but hey, the music's good.
Do you think that, like, that grunt work it makes sense? Like, they'll make someone like you do a bunch of grunt work so that when you finally get in the chair, you really, really appreciate it. And it leaves zero room for error or for taking for granted how privileged one is to be involved in music creation at that level, you know, because, man, I've been in sessions at Circle House and at in Circle House and the Hit Factory. With you've invited me to the Hit Factory a couple times, and I remember back in those days, my intent. Look at how small I was thinking at that time, or I guess in retrospect, it's small. At that time, I'm thinking, let me just bring some weed, and that'll be enough. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember walking in there. I mean, mind you, this is a little bit surface level, but like I remember walking in there and being like, everybody's shoes are brand new and mine aren't. You know, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, damn, my shoes are a little bit dirty compared to everyone else's in this session. I don't like that, you know. And I mean, mind you, nowadays I don't care, but back then I did care. And I wanted my weed to be the dankest, you know, the most fire, so that, you know why? You know what it is? It's like I almost want to feel like, damn, what value am I providing being here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're probably thinking that too. Like, well, who, not only who is this, but why is this person here? You know? It's interesting.
For good weed.
For good weed. Yeah, like I remember Mac Main walked in and you passed him the blunt and he like hit it mad weird. His like elbow was like mad high. Like, I don't know if I should be hitting this, but fuck it. Let me just be nice. And he hit it one time and passed it right back to you. And little memories like that, like they stuck with me because I remember being like, I went through a fucking mission to get here, you know, because I wasn't gonna pass up the opportunity that my homie Mike Banger invited me to the studio, and I stopped what I was doing and I went over there just to kind of, you know, not pass up. You hitting me up, and it was just a funny time, you know, because as much as I appreciated you opening these doors for me, I kind of feel like I dropped the ball a little bit here and there for lack of foresight, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting, bro. The hip hop game can be a little funny, you know?
Yeah. It is a little funny. It is a little funny. I mean, the way I saw it before I got in it, and we talked about me being a drummer, so, I mean, I just like music, you know what I mean? I like music. It could be hip-hop, it could be, like, rock. I mean, I don't like any kind of music, but I like music. I like playing. I like being in the studio. So, when I was younger, I'm like, all right, basically, like, what am I going to be when I grow up type of shit. And I saw how hard it was to make money in music. So at a certain point, I was just kind of like, man, as long as I'm around this shit, I'll do anything. You know, I was like that hungry to just do anything in music, whether it be the fucking drum setup guy or the fucking window cleaner. Like, if my job to this day was like the studio window cleaner and I would have never moved up from that position, believe it or not, I'd be happy. Like, I just like being in the studio and being around music. So when I saw what other guys have to do to get in the engineering world, like as interns, clean everything and do the grunt work, like you said, it's another thing about it is it's not grunt work. They're kind of showing you how to really run a studio, because in our minds we're like, oh, we just want to go in there and hit record and make a song. But the business is way bigger than that. The place has to be clean. You got to learn how to service the client when they come in, how to treat them, how to basically everything except the music is part of the business. You know what I mean? Like the lights, fucking turn them on, turn them off. Don't leave shit like just running all night. Like, be conscious of that kind of shit. Keep everything clean before and after every session. Do a run through the room. Make sure it's clean. Like,
it's like a restaurant.
Basically, it's a service industry. It's like a hotel room. You know what I mean? Like, somebody rents the hotel room. You got to do the bed and turn down service and shit like that. So you learn those things. And some guys realize it. They're like, oh, shit, this business is bigger than just hitting record at the board. You know what I mean? The room got to be clean. There's repairs that got to be done. There's upgrades and updates. Like, that's all part of the business, you know? So to this day, I vacuum around here, you know? If I can't get somebody else to do it, like, I still do it. It's like, if no one does the grunt work, you're going to have a dirty-ass studio. Who the fuck wants to book a dirty-ass studio?
Maybe Redman. You know, because you ever seen that video of Redman where he's like shows off his home studio and it's just a hot mess and he's like, fuck it, man, work, you know?
Yeah, I've seen that thing. I think it was one of his crib episodes, right? Wasn't he on Cribs once?
There's two episodes. One, he shows off his crib and he has that, you know, that's a classic episode of. But the other one is the more recent one where it shows him in his studio room and it's the same thing. It's like very disorganized. That must be the way that he is, you know? Like, if you ever have Redman here, like,
don't clean.
Yeah, don't clean. And if it's too clean, he'll probably like spill his cup of coffee and just be like, better. You know? Yeah, man. You know, another thing too, bro, is like how you say you walk to the park and kind of decompress from the studio session. One thing that has really done that for me is just cruising around on my skateboard, you know?
Yeah,
Like cruising on the skateboard is super therapeutic.
for sure. For everything in life, like you let out so much energy on a skateboard. That shit. That's another love of mine. But you know, it doesn't really. Somehow it got meshed into music when I was working at the Hit Factory because Wayne caught up on the fucking. He caught the skate bug, but yeah, bro, skateboarding lets you really release from life, like, because you got to put in a lot of energy to it. Even if you're, especially if you're an aggressive skater trying like technical tricks, you know what I'm saying? Like, you probably won't get mad at all for the rest of the day if you're trying to land a crazy ass trick for 2 hours. Like, you'll release all the anger that you need to release for like almost the year just trying to land that trick for those 2 hours. I realized that about skateboarding, so it's a good release of energy.
That, and also the attention required to not hit a rock or a sidewalk that's 1 inch too high, you know, so you don't fall forward. The attention, it's like you have no room to be stuck on something 5 feet ahead of you. Oh, I'm sorry, behind you, or like too far ahead of you. You only have to zone in on the exact spot that you're at, and like the attention that it takes to do that pushes away everything else that's kind of bothering you at that time in the back of your head. Because you just kind of like, don't fuck up on the board, you know? And that is such a relief because I'm an overthinker, bro. And I'm assuming, I mean, I can kind of catch the vibe that maybe at one point in time you were too, you know, like an overthinker when it comes to perfecting it, maybe be the music or whatever. And the skateboard completely removes that. It forces you to like only focus on the board. You know?
Yeah, there's a lot to think about at once while you're on the board. So it definitely gets your mind off of everything. And what you said about overthinking, something about me is I have ADHD. I'm like diagnosed with that shit. So my brain just never stops. And like I've learned to cool down and like I've learned to deal with it and manage it without medication. But skateboarding has helped more than I know or knew, because when I was younger, I didn't realize really what it was doing. And if I didn't skate, I would just kind of be in my room just like ticking, like, man, I got to do something, get bored. So skating, definitely, man, that shit calms you. It's almost like a form of meditation, but it's not meditating at all. It's the complete opposite. You got to focus on your mind, your body, your balance, the board, whatever's ahead of you, like you said. And it really works out the mind, man. It really does. And especially when you start getting into the technical tricks, then it's like super hard, you know, and dangerous.
Do you ride with your trucks loose or tight?
I like tight. I like my shit kind of tight. Yeah.
There's this one skater. Man, I'm really bad at this, bro. I just bring up. You know Joe Rogan? Do you watch his podcast sometimes?
I've seen it a few times.
You know how the comment section is like Joe, and then they put a quote, and then Rogan? Like, Joe, I got a friend in Hollywood, Rogan.
No,
you know?
I haven't seen that.
Like, it's an inside joke in the comment section of Joe Rogan podcast, but like, I'm really bad at not knowing the names, so I fear that I'm going to be, like, there's this one guy, Morera, you know? There's this one guy, Morera, because I can never remember the name, but there's this one skater that his trucks are so loose that it's like he only turned the nut, like, bro, once from how loose it is, and he rides like that. And he
I've seen some dudes with their shit loose as hell.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, because for those that don't skateboard, what we're talking about is the bottom of the skateboard is like, you have the wheels that's on the trucks, which is that metal like centerpiece, and then you have to loosen or tighten the knob in the middle to your liking, so that when you turn the board by leaning left or leaning right, that's what's going to make the board turn. But if you lean too much and your trucks are loose, the bottom of the skateboard is gonna rest on the wheel, which will force it to stop turning, and then you fly forward. So that's called wheel bite. So you'll have like a scuff in the bottom of the board because of all the wheel bites, right? So this one guy that I'm referencing right now, like, he has his so loose, and the reason why he does that is because he said, like, it forces him to be that much more balanced. There's no compensation from the board to help you, like, stay balanced, even if your balance is realistically a little off, you know? So that's like on another level of being centered, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it depends what you like riding too, but everyone has a different preference. I've gotten on some guys' boards that are like cold as fuck, like they're doing the craziest shit, and like I'll just get on their board like because they leave it laying around, and I'm like, what the fuck? This guy skates loose as shit. Like, I don't understand how they do it, but everybody skates different. So I feel like trying it, you know what I mean? Like, especially like going fast and landing something like fakey, like seeing how you balance out of it. Maybe it's easier or something. I don't know,
man. Like, I just bought some soft wheels. They're like 58 millimeter wheels, I believe, from Spitfire, and I'm looking forward to putting them on. Like, I ordered the skate tool from Amazon, and it arrives in the mail today. So I can swap out the hard wheels for the soft wheels, because I'm more of a cruiser. I just like to cruise, you know? I'll just cruise around, maybe do a little, like, where you pop the nose up a little bit to go over a crack or something. I'm more of a cruiser, you know? It also helps me, like, while I'm listening to music.
Yeah.
Do you listen to music while you ride, or not even that?
No, I feel like my ears help me balance. So if I got earbuds or headphones on, I feel like it kind of like knocks off my equilibrium a little bit. That's another thing. I've seen some badass riders and they just ride with headphones on the whole time. But I feel like it kind of helps me figure out where I am a little bit more, like listening to my environment. So I've never really been comfortable with, and I gotta carry something on me as well. Like, I like putting my wallet and my phone down when I skate.
Yeah, it's true. I don't like having anything in my pockets, but not because of throwing off my balance, more because my iPhone is $800 and I don't want to smash it by eating it, and just, that's happened to me before. I ate it one time while I was listening to some beats, and I take my phone out of my pocket, and it's just it was destroyed. You
Gotta
know?
get an OtterBox.
I'm about to just get like a little iPod Nano and just like $100 Nano and just throw that in my back pocket or something. But yeah, man, you know, it's crazy, bro. When I think about people based out of South Florida that really, you know, fucking did it, bro. Like, you're one of them. To me, at least, like, you're one of them, bro. Like, you were involved in the scene that I came up on. And you just fucking worked extremely hard, and you were like a no complaints kind of guy. You just kind of shut up and did what needed to be done, solution oriented, you know, and it fucking paid off, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's
like,
been a long road.
I wanted to bring up real quick. I forgot about, like, you know, I used to film for Drink Champs, right? Like, because, like, obviously part of being an upcoming artist is you should probably have access to, like, some video equipment for yourself. And I learned how to work the camera and all that goes along with it. And I hit up EFN to see if I can involve myself in Drink Champs, and he was down with it. And I filmed for Drink Champs. And the way that Nori operates is, like, he has access to people with video, which was the Drink Champs staff. And whenever he wanted to film a music video, it was like a very guerrilla style filming. Like, yo, I'm at the 8 and 9 shop. Come by. We're going to do some shit. And I got hit up by the main guy that was working with Drink Champs filming at the time to come through with my camera. And I go, and Nori's filming this music video for this song called Petty. Bitch, I'm petty.
Yeah,
petty.
I remember that.
And I was one of the guys holding the cameras. Like, he had like 2 or 3 camera guys. And so I'm filming it's Nori, right? It's Nori standing in the middle, and behind him was a crowd of people, and you know you're supposed to kind of like face the camera towards Nori for a little bit, and then pan to the left or right to catch everyone else. And there was this one guy that had his hand over his mouth to kind of like, you know, like that hand gesture. And I have my camera mad close to him. Before I continue, like, mind you, bro, all I ever wanted to do was rap, you know? All I ever wanted to do was rap, bro. Till this day, my main thing is my music. But it's actually kind of humbling hearing how you would wash windows just to be in the music, whereas with me, I had a much more prideful view of like, man, I don't want to be the guy holding the camera. Yeah. I want to be the guy either rapping or like playing the cut, but known as an MC first, you know. Whereas I'm here holding the camera, like I had to kind of play that role just to be involved, you know. It's like Rocky. When Rocky it tells Mickey, like, he's like mopping the floors of the gym, and Mickey's like, "What are you doing here? Get out of here!" Whatever. And then Rocky tells Mickey, like, "Yo, Mick, I just gotta be around it," you know?
Yeah, that's how I feel, man.
Facts. So I turned the camera, and there's a guy with his hand over his mouth, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a cool shot." And I look, I'm like, "Oh shit, this is Corey Guns." Fuck. Oh shit. Okay, hold on. Let me I'll holler at him when we're done. And I did. When we were done filming, I walked up to Corey. Super fucking cool guy. Because there's an episode on Drink Champs, which was on that day, where it's Cormega and Corey Guns. They were the two guests, you know?
I don't think I've seen that one. I gotta catch up on that one.
And I had walked up to Corey like, "Yo, bro, my man Mike Banger always spoke highly of you, bro. You know, that the way that you work." And he was like, "Yo, Mike, damn, bro, how's he doing? Wow, bro, give him my love, bro. Tell him I hope that he's good, bro, for real, bro. I hope he's good, bro." Just like walked away. And I remember being like, the first thing that I thought about when I realized that it was Corey Guns was you. That was in my head. I was like, damn, like this guy, Corey Guns, I know who he is because I'm a hip hop head, but more so because Mike always spoke highly of this guy's skills in the studio, you know? So I'm going to chop it up with him when I'm done filming this with Nori.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite MCs, bro.
For real?
I ain't even gonna lie, yeah. Especially like, well, he's done big shit, you know, but like, I feel like he still has a bright future ahead of him, you know? He's definitely one of my favorite MCs. And I started fucking with him on MySpace, I think, before either one of us was part of the Young Money camp. So when we finally met at Young Money, I think I asked him if he remembered like some dude on MySpace that sent him tracks, and he was like, "Oh shit, that's you!" Like, "Oh shit, like we're both here now," type of shit. And he was probably sleeping on me when I was sending him shit through MySpace. You know what I mean? Because I didn't really have any like. I wasn't on Young Money, but when we both ended up on Young Money, he's like, "Oh shit, like you're the fucking, I remember your shit." I think he even like referenced like one of the beats that I sent him with Hook. Like he remembered it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember this beat you sent me." I forgot which one it is now, but he's got a pretty good memory. Like he remembered the hook and the beat and shit. Like, and we ended up in the same camp doing some work together. Definitely a beast, bro. Definitely a beast.
What do you think? I mean, well, before I get to my question, Mike, like, you ever thought about just hollering at him, like, "Yo, come through, bro. Just you got the whole spot here, and maybe bang out a whole tape," you know?
I have hollered at him. I'm not entirely sure what he's been going through. I know he had like some kind of case or some shit that he was dealing with, and I don't think he was allowed to put out music or something like that. So, I mean, everybody goes through their shit, you know what I mean? So I don't know what he was going through, but definitely something.
Well, like without getting, I mean, mind you, the reason why I set up that question is not, in detail what's going on with him specifically, but really because your setup is ideal. Your home setup here, mind you, for those listening, like I'm here saying a home studio. I'm not sitting in. It's not like a little side. This guy has Mike has a full-fledged studio that just happens to be in a house. You know, so
I mean, the when you say home studio, you think of like a bedroom studio. A better way to understand it is like literally home studio. It's not like a bedroom studio. The bedroom is a booth, and the living room is the control room.
Facts.
So
the dream, for real.
Sacrifices.
You know, but this setup is like ideal for someone that, you know, if I didn't have my setup, because I already have everything that I need personally, right? And I put it together specifically to be mobile, because I'm gonna be very mobile within like 6 months. But your setup is ideal for someone to kind of like lock themselves in here and crank out a whole tape in like 2 weeks or some shit.
Yep.
You know, I would love to see more of that in hip hop, for as much as it's already going on. But your studio is like something I could see, bro. Like one of my favorite MCs is Currency. You know, and
we've done some. He hasn't came by here, but he's sent some files. We've done some like collaborative work out of here with him, but he hasn't came by yet. Hopefully he does.
I think he would fucking love it, man. He'll be here and like crank out. I would love to see the way that Currency works, like extensively. Like if I could be involved in a session with Currency, maybe work with him somehow, I would really appreciate that, because he'll bang out like a whole tape in like 1 or 2 days, 3 days, from what I've heard. And your studio is like literally perfect for that, bro.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I when I went looking for a home, obviously I'm from way down south from where you originally met me. Shit's so expensive down there, bro. Like I couldn't find anything down there that like could fit this kind of shit comfortably and like look dope. Bro, like my mom's crib is worth more than this house just because it's in Dade County. So I am a little bit north, but at the same time I think it's good because I don't have 2 control rooms, so artists won't clash in the halls. Like you won't get too much traffic. Like it's like what you said, bro. If you want to just lock in for a week or even just a day, like you're locked in. Ain't no one gonna interrupt you. Ain't no other artists in another room. You're 40 minutes away from Miami, so it's not like just random people are gonna pull up to hang out in your session. Like it's pretty private and you're isolated, so you can really get some shit done here.
Yo, Mike, who are some of your favorite producers? Not beat makers, but like producers. You know, you mentioned Rick Rubin. He's mine.
I think he's mine too.
Rick Rubin, bro. He's the man, bro.
I think he's mine too. I don't know how he works. I've never really worked with him, but from what I've read, he's like my style of producer. He's not like too musical and technical and like the notes and the chord progression. He just knows what he likes, and he seems to come from like a punk rock background, and he's a big hip hop fan, which I could relate to because I was in a punk band and in hip hop groups. So it's like he really like resonates with me, his style. And like I heard and read that he kind of just like stays quiet and listens and like just might say like a few things. And for whatever reason, it's always like exactly what the person needs to hear, even though he's not like all over the artist crazy telling him what to do and what note and this and that. He just, I don't know. And all the shit that he's put out, man, it's fucking amazing. His like track record is ridiculous. So from rock to hip hop, and now recently he did Adele, I think.
I would say the only bump in the road for like Rick Rubin's producing career, and tell me what you think about this. Like a lot of people, like a common opinion is that Eminem's best work was with Dr. Dre, and his, I don't want to say worst work because I feel like everything he's ever put out to me is fucking amazing, but like his least flattering work is the shit that he did with Rick Rubin, right? Like the Marshall Mathers 2 LP, whatever. And to be honest with you, at the time when the album came out, I remember being like, this is very different from what I'm used to hearing from Eminem. But when I go back and listen to it now, I guess part of it is that I'm a little biased because now I'm aware of Rick Rubin and his work. So I listen to it now, and there's just so much more to appreciate about that album, you know. And Rick Rubin was all over it. That was an album that he worked with, and I feel like he actually brings out much more of a like the best out of Eminem than people may give him credit for, because the writing on that album is, to me, like it might actually be like his best writing ever. You know, I don't know how familiar you are with the Marshall Mathers 2 LP, but
I'm not too familiar with it. But you're making me want to like check it out. I'm gonna have to like really fucking dig deep into it. And
yeah,
I didn't even realize that Rick Rubin was part of that one.
He was definitely a part of it. And you know, when you go back and listen to it, you realize that Eminem is not so much in your face like how he came up as. You know, like. I ripped Mystical's voice box out and screamed in his ear, like, oh, battle rap style rhymes. Whereas with the Marshall Mathers 2 LP, it's much more like a dusty book in the back of a library, and you open it up, and your whole world changes. You know, that is the writing on that album, and I'm curious to know to what lengths Rick Rubin's involvement was in that, because man, I listen to it now and I'm like, damn, bro, I was totally asleep. You know,
I need to check that thing out because I definitely slept on it. I definitely slept. But a lot of times also, man, I'm so immersed in my own work that it's hard for me to catch up with what's being released.
It's true, man.
You
Fear
know?
of missing out for real.
So
You
I'll just be doing my own thing, and I wouldn't even realize somebody dropped an album like, oh shit, for real, that came out. So
like before we get out of here, the thing that I was hoping to also find out about you is, like, can you like tell me your process as a producer, as like not an engineer, but like the producing side of you. Like, how do you find yourself communicating to the person that you're working with?
Like Rick Rubin style, or like beat making?
No, man, like you, like I'm the MC, you're the engineer. What happens?
What I try to do is get them to relax, first of all, gain the confidence that they need, and trust me without saying too much. Like I want the artist, like, and I try to be like as silent as I possibly can, an extension of them. I see like what they're trying to do and what they like, how they can't get to certain things, and like, you know, I just try to guide them that direction. Like, whether it might be fears that they have, so I'll just be like, you know, don't be afraid to say that, and don't be afraid to let it stand there by itself. You don't need to, even with the stacking and the hook thing, you know what I mean? I'll see an artist like try to just say a real dope line and then try to double it and triple it, or, you know, pan that out, and I'll give them the confidence that they need to let them know that, yo, that could stand just like that. That's it. You're done. You know, sometimes you got to stop them, because a lot of great artists, all they really need is the mic in their voice and say the right thing, and you're done. Really, you don't need heavy production and overdubbing and all this other crap. So, I don't know. I just try to be an extension of the artist, and as quiet as possible too. I don't like being like obviously in the room. I don't like controlling the session. I like just sitting back, seeing like what it is they're trying to do, and push them towards it with confidence, you know, and not get carried away with the production aspect, the technical production. Like, yo, that's what you were trying to say? Like, that's how you feel right now? Like, a lot of it is almost like a psychologist. I'm like a studio psychologist. You know what I'm saying? It's like a therapy session, you know?
Yeah, like, you're not necessarily engineering Pro Tools, but you're engineering the gears in their head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you got to figure out what it is they're really trying to do, not them trying to make a hot song that fits what's going on right now. Just like, what are they trying to do, and make the performance be as best as it could possibly be. And that just might be it. You know, it might not sound like what's out right now. It might not have to do anything with anything. So, and sometimes it's an L, man. Sometimes, you know, sometimes we take L's and it don't work. But for the most part, I just try to get the most genuine performance out of an artist. That's pretty much it. And if they're a great artist, usually it will be a great performance and song writing or whatever the case may be.
Word. Okay. That makes sense because to me the best music is the music is like posthumous style music, you know? Music that sounds like they wrote it because they know they're not going to be here forever. So it's not about the moment, like what's hot now. It's what's going to affect the listener like long after they're gone, like a Beatles track. You know, I bet when the Beatles were making music, they weren't really trying to make what's hot now. They were just trying to capture lightning in a bottle, like the human experience on you know, in a song, you know. And so the way that you're describing that definitely makes sense, you know. And it's actually refreshing to hear because I really don't like when I when I hear someone that is trying to like make music and they're like, you so obviously riding the wave, you know. This is what's popping now, this and that. Like,
yeah, I try to stay away from that as much as possible. And naturally, we are influenced, so there might be little sprinkles of it here and there, and that's cool. But if a session becomes a discussion or a debate about what's hot right now, I already know I'm in the wrong session. I'm like, all right, these guys don't get it. They're not gonna just break out of their box or be themselves. Like, and sometimes I gotta just eat the shit, you know, like, fuck it, man. That's what they're trying to do, and like, fuck it, let me just get through this session. But my favorite sessions are the ones where the artist is free as a fucking bird. Not to sound cliche, like just someone who's just letting it out, regardless of what's out right now or like what's going on. Like someone that's just being genuine to themselves and has something to contribute to us, like sonically, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I want to be heard. I have a message. Like, how can we make this the best thing possible? And sometimes it's simplifying everything, not dumbing it down, but not being heavy with like I said, a lot of times, and this isn't to take away from anyone, but a lot of producers are great at overdubbing, making things sound big and stacking and harmonies, and I'm just like, say something powerful, you know what I mean? Like, get deep in there. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish with this? And as nice as possible, you know, just get it out of them, you know, however that may be. And make them feel comfortable enough to fucking do it however they want to do it. Like, a lot of times it's about keeping the session intimate and private too. Like, I'll basically be like a guardian at the door. Like, this guy's about to let something out. Like, if someone walks in here right now, he's not going to feel that comfortable. So I just got to, like, make sure no one's walking in type of shit. Like, keep the person comfortable, you know? That's really what it is at the end of the day, so that the natural performance comes out of them.
And that's one of the benefits of it being here versus, like, a Circle House or a Hit Factory. It's like, when you're at home, you're most comfortable. But when you're at work, you mask those vulnerabilities with almost like a professionalism. Like, you know, you're just like, you're not you are the face of whatever company. So it's like working here in this environment is much more like, you know, like you're sleeping over your homie's house and you talk about all your problems with them because no one else is there to judge you.
Yeah.
You know? So I can definitely get that vibe here, bro, for real. That's dope, man.
I haven't done as much as I've wanted to do with this place because it's been tough, like maintaining it. You know what I mean? I built it all by myself, and I always get like a mixing job or something that I gotta email ASAP. But yeah, I've worked on a couple people here, but and it's been great. It's been great. It's been really intimate vibe. Like, they feel at home. You know what I mean? They can go upstairs, use put their shit in the fridge or pass out on the couch while I finish mixing or whatever, or even go in the pool. Like, fuck it, go out there and jump in the pool. And I'll continue mixing whatever, or if you even need to write something, write it in the pool. Or whatever, or wherever you want. Like, you know, fuck it. Go skinny dipping. I don't give a fuck. Like, get it right. Whatever you're trying to do, let's do it.
That's funny. You say, go ahead, write it in the pool. Like, I don't know why I thought you was gonna say, man, I just came up on some like waterproof papers. This new thing.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, if you need to pace around for an idea, it's not like, you know, there's no time limit. I ain't going nowhere. I'm here till you're done. Like, you know.
That's dope, man. That is it's a blessing, bro. Like, I appreciate you know, your approaching this music shit, man, because like the way that I make my music is I have all my equipment and there's no one around at all. Like, I found myself like a hermit crab. Like, I just never am around anyone when I'm writing what I'm writing. And the irony is that I put it out for everyone to see. So it's like you know, you publish it and everyone's there to have an opinion on it or to critique it or to fan out on it. But they don't know that, you know, I made it with no one around at 4 a.m, pacing up and down the sidewalk. I came up with that rhyme, and it's just it's like the duality. Like, everyone consumes it. No one was there for the making of it, you know? Such a public thing was made so privately.
Yeah. I mean, some people are different, you know what I mean? Some people like to have a lot of influence around in the studio while they work, whether it be all the homies and a lot of, I don't know, you should try different things, you know? Try different things. There's a different creative approach when you got people around too. Like, someone might give you a little feedback or a little input, and you actually take that into, you know, whatever you're doing, and but that might not be what is comfortable for you. So you might like to do shit alone. I don't know. I think just work however you feel right working, you know?
Is that, you know what it is that unlike you, people that have been around me while I work, they try to like insert themselves into my process, you know? That's, in my experiences, that's what it's been like, where the beat's looping and then I'm not done writing what I'm writing and they'll be like, yo, let me hear what you got, man. And then awkwardly, I would just turn to them and be like, all right, well, and I'll recite it for them. And then they'll lean back and rub their chin and be like, you know, maybe you should blank.
Yeah.
And I'm there like, bruh, like, you know, I didn't ask, you know, I feel rude telling them, but it's like, yo, I didn't, you asked me to hear what I got going on. I didn't ask you what you thought. You know?
I mean, the best entourage to have around while you're writing, for lack of better words, if you're the entourage type, are people who are just hanging. You know what I mean? Like, they're just hanging, whether, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go, instead of going to the club or to a bar, like, fuck it, I'm going to go to Art's session, you know, and just have a drink there and whatever, scroll through my Instagram feed and shit and just listen to the beat and kick it and say what's up to him and say peace out to him. If any time in between them doing that, you feel like asking them how they might feel about what you're writing, then that's when it becomes valuable to you, because you wanted to know what they thought. But people who are always just butting in like, oh, let me hear what you got. You should do this. You should do that. You should do this. Those are the worst to have in your sessions. That's the worst entourage.
It really is, man. And that's what I was around, you know? So due to the type of studio folks that I was exposed to, definitely kind of pushed me in the direction of being like, I don't like none of that. I'm just gonna do things by myself, or maybe with one other homie that I trust to do how you're describing, where they're just kind of hanging, but they're also like observing, like the silent, like a candid contributor.
Exactly.
And but even since then, I've just kind of am by myself. I have a couple homies that I'll send like an MP3 of a reference verse, you know? Like, I have this right now. I'm working overnight, and I have my laptop, and this recorder that I do my podcast with is a Zoom H6, and it also comes with 2 mics when you buy it. It has an XY microphone that's good for field sounds. You can walk around with it and record the world around you.
That's the 2 little mics
Yes.
like that, right?
Yeah. And so you could turn this into an audio interface when you connect it to your computer via USB.
Dope.
So then I connect one of these SM58s to it, and then I have my headphones, like a little earbuds that's with the aux, and I connect it into the headphone port, and that's how I write when I'm working overnight.
That's dope.
So I sit at the front desk, and in between people checking in and asking for the Wi-Fi password and shit,
You just got the SM58 and whip it out.
yep, I'm there writing. That's the way I've been writing, bro. Like, I'm getting paid for being there. I might as well be as productive as I can with what I want to do. So, and it's been working for me musically. You know, obviously, I'm looking forward to when I don't have to be there overnight anymore. But yeah, man, you know, like, so that's the way I've been working, and it's refreshing to hear how you conduct yourself as the engineer / producer, you know? So I encourage people that are trying to like bang out a project here in South Florida to hit up Mike Banger, bro. Like, hit up Mike and come through to his spot. He has black coffee as well.
It's lit.
It's lit. LED lights, I change colors.
Yeah, man. You can pick your color, man. Pick your color.
Yo, before we get out of here, man, is there anything else that you want to tell the people before we close out?
Shit. If you need studio time, holler at me. And you made me think of someone who we didn't mention, but you were like, oh, I email some shit to my homies so that we can bounce ideas back and forth. And someone who I still do that with to this day, who you know is Parable. You know Parable?
Shout out to Parable, man.
Shout out to Parable, man. So, yeah, man, I guess that was a shout out to Parable.
Parable is one of those guys that, like, I want him to put out more music, bro. Like,
He's in the process. He always sends me what he's working on, and like he's telling me like what, you know, asking me what he should do and shit like that. But he wants to, like, I guess I shouldn't say until he decides to announce it.
it's cool. It's cool.
But he's
Like,
been thinking about like rebranding himself, and I'm just like, man, you're Parable. Everybody knows you as Parable.
for real. Hey, listen, cuz I'm not gonna call you nothing else, bro. I'm gonna call you Parable, and that's it.
Yeah, for real.
Fucking Parable. To me, he's a Miami legend, bro.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
You know,
for sure. He
like-
beat everybody in the battle circuit. Like when he was when that was the scene, he was like up there, like top 3.
The one time that I battled him, I ended up beating him, and I felt like I caught him on a. I don't want to be dismissive because mind you, I'm proud of everyone that I ended up beating in a battle, but I've seen Parable at that time perform so much better than when he was against me. It's like, if I'm gonna battle you, I want you at your best. If I'm gonna lose to you, it's because I know that you were at your best and I was not superior.
He probably
day.
just broke up with his girlfriend that day, man.
For real. And then like I ended up getting him on an off day, you know? But yo, he's a legend, man. He battled this one fat dude and he goes, "You're probably so fat you can't jump to conclusions."
Oh man.
Bro, those were the days, man. Yeah, Parable, man. I try to get him on this podcast too, but you know, it's hard to. He travels a lot, so.
Yeah, he's always fucking everywhere.
But word, man, y'all hit him up, man. I'm gonna put Mike's IG, Instagram in the description. Give him a holler if you're trying to get some work done. And
MikeBanger.com.
MikeBanger.com.
Yeah, bomb. Simple.
Facts. With that being said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. I appreciate y'all listening. On Spotify and Apple Music, my projects Buena Gente, Transit City, Good Grief. Those are the 3 recent projects that I put out the last a little bit more than a year. Check it out, guys. This is Art Morera. I'm here with Mike Banger.
Blue.
And we out. Peace.
Medianoche.
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 Podcast. podcast, 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 podcast.
Medianoche.
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 Podcast, podcast, podcast.